Halloween is right around the corner, which means it's time for tricks or treats. Local financial professional Mike Kojonen from Principal Preservation Services is here tonight with 5 savings tricks to treat yourself this spooky season. Nice to see you again, Mike.
Good seeing you, Jeff.
So saving can be something that's tricky for us to do. Maybe we need to trick ourselves into doing that. What could be one tip for sure to get that rolling?
Yeah, definitely have to trick ourselves because right now people are too much in debt and they're overspending, living beyond their means. Over half of Americans don't even have enough money for an unexpected expense of $1,000. So the 5 tips or tricks, I should say. The first one is setting a 24-hour rule. If you're going to spend, maybe it's $250 or $500, a significant amount of money, set that in your household to say, I'm not going to do that impulsively. I'm going to wait, talk about it at home, write down the pros and cons, and just see if it's worth it. Is it a need or is it a want? You're really trying to eliminate those impulse buying and disciplining yourself. And we're finding out you're probably not going to need to do all these purchases that you've had. Really important.
That's one you're consciously thinking of, but your next couple tips, it's almost like having someone do the work for you in a way.
Yeah, so make your savings automatic. So we do that a lot of times with our 401ks and IRAs. I think that's important. It comes out of your paycheck. But what about your savings? Enough for that emergency fund. A lot of employers right now, you can set a certain amount that will go directly into a separate savings account. If they don't do that, your banks definitely can do that to make sure that every paycheck or once a month, a certain amount goes from your account into a checking account to a savings account, you know, out of sight, out of mind. So if you don't see it, you won't spend it, and that's important. Which kind of leads to the next one is with that 401k, make sure you're putting enough money to get that employer match. Right now, about 75% of employers offer some sort of match, one formula or another, but we're finding 1 in 5 people contributing to a 401k don't put enough money to get that match. And when you figure that money, that if you could just contribute a little bit more money to get that employer match a little bit more money, compounded over 25, 35 years, that could be a couple $100,000 more in your retirement. So there's some really neat calculators on my website. I recommend playing with that so you can see that difference from contributing in your 401k at principalpreservationservices.com.
And speaking of that retirement and investing in the future, there's a certain way people can maybe shift how they're putting that money aside for the future you're talking about too.
Yeah, we're under the tax reform right now, which is in place for a few more years. So it all depends, right? Could be new administration, could be wiped out. But we're at lower tax rates now, which is a great opportunity to take those pre-tax monies, the monies that you haven't paid taxes on, your traditional IRA, traditional 401k money, convert them into a Roth. So that's a great time to do it when the tax brackets are lower. Especially with looming legislation, they're talking about eliminating that stretch IRA, that inherited IRA. So if your children were to inherit your IRA, they could stretch it today over their lifetime. They're talking about changing that to a 10-year distribution schedule. But if you can convert those monies to a Roth, they'll inherit that money tax-free, and that's the best way to get your money to your children through Roth money.
And of course, Social Security, something I know people are often worried about. What would your tip be for that?
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest things in retirement people are overlooking. They're taking it way too early, and the Social Security Administration admits they can tell, they can look back, and people are taking their benefits way too early because they can track it by their how long they live. But the early years, say from 62 till 66, your benefit is growing on average about 6.25% a year, plus cost of living, so it could be about 8%, maybe a little bit more some years. But from 66 till 70, your benefit is growing 8% guaranteed, plus cost of living, so it could be growing 9.5%, 10%. I know the S&P 500 in the last 20 years has averaged less than 4. So if you want to increase some extra retirement dollars, it's a good way to let your money grow. And the key is working with a professional who understands the rules with that, because it's not always you're having both husband and wife, if you're married, to have them both extended out longer. Maybe one takes it right away and one takes it at 66, one takes it at 68. There's a lot of different strategies. You should see what the difference is and work with a professional who can show you that.
And every family is different. Everyone has their own situations going on too.
Yeah, and health comes into play too, because if you don't have good health, you're not going to delay it. You know, so there's a lot of different factors that come in play with it. So find out what is best for you.
Okay, hopefully with these tricks, you can treat yourself years down the road, maybe treat some people this holiday season as well with some of this saving. For more money advice from Mike, just visit WCCO.com. We'll be right back.